What's mistaken and missing, what was not replaced, the reporter distorted to distant waves, the gravitational pull, vibrating and radiating vibes and tribes to families, to ox, to the herbs, to the capacities, to capital, with the supposed odes, and to the souls who reconnected with the soil, reincarnated to the carnation who love the lives and race vehicles and no drive. No ambition to steer clear of the pollution. They can't wait to give the carbon emission, electronically recondition any weather conditions and re-endition. Invited to the not invited for the vital times, and you have that for the watching names and the numbers, and around that clock it's 4:45, and that's how we keep it 100 like they mentioned, but I thought, but it wasn't getting any order. History, the obsolete libraries, where you lie in silence not to speak too loud, to arouse the weak and the sheep. You hear me now calling. Walk past another manipulation, lies downright play dead with the breathing, with the stutter, with the eyes and ears, those guests, those ideologists, runners, universe was believed to dope, with the invited the games to play, unwilling with the only loss of consideration, with the stutter before this next season, it's only to lose. Forgotten about the reborn again for the as you did in the book, the course, and the right about my wrongs, and or not. Ass bigger the floor for the asphalt, ass carried away for the disobedient, the impatient, don't with the lust to engage, the will for the vows, and uphold those who teach with the principles, with resist true, disagree for the degree, pressure placed on with the common grounds, brainwashing with the dreads have been watching the development, the course of the hair, for the course of the execute, the oxymoron for the hippies taking shortcuts. That long hair won't ground you, waiting for gravity to release resistance, meant to place you in a placement for anywhere outside of the acceptance of the ignorant belonging. You can be sooner than you, ready for the delay anticipated, stated in the context and content, and contentment for the initials, where for the been signed, and preliminary for the response, prior to advisory to the magic, the preventive for the magic, and the not knowing what you know for the immunity, with the inner, with the unplayed, unearned wages to the wedge through the drives, through restraints with the street, strange, with the ones to strain out of the exit extracts that you have for the X, claim the victim for the Nobel, for the blowing the whistle, with the ring of the ring, the finger for the black, backflips into the past and habits, land and cake for the samples and the memories to recall you back if you call or ID after the instead of ideas, prefer not to answer to the heightened sense of the short when the sea levels rise in new awareness. What's the mistake in the missing? 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 What was not replaced, reported, distorted to distant waves, the gravitational pull, vibrating and radiating vibes, and tribes to families to perception, the eyes and the vows that were slain, and sometimes it's hard to comprehend who's to compromise, that empty compromise with who's full of compromise, with the remorse that can't find a way for the beacon light. Shadows are not easy, they only thought. You can find out through the logic with the sweat producer, you thought for the modified, for the sheep, the amnesty, the periphery of the eyes, and it seems unbelievable. You pray to the ideology, the parallel, for the formic paradox, for the line of propaganda, for the proportion that you pray. Before you pray with the eyes open for the closed mind. Find a bliss in the execution to feel your peace beneath the surface. Your common ground and unfamiliar with bloodlines and tied with the wrist. Loosely resisted the destitution, the anti, the ancestral barely talk for you. Have no ears for the feeling of the witness to the mirror of the past. Message you walk past with the pastor of pastures and plastic of garbage patches to fill in the whole ozones. You need to be apologetic for the silence, for the rather authentic. These talked about for the ears of description, the interpersonal relationships to the interpretation. No, I am not that forgiven for the you walk into the haiku syllables. Feel the paraplegic pain for the sudden for the uninsured to raise the hand. Fist tight for the righteous acts and your reactions, rights. Swipe on the tender topic for the troubling waters and strap his life jackets to chill the cold factor for the blood that warms the heart to ignite. Emotion, utilizing kinetic energy for the circulation to break that cycle in patterns and talk. It's culture, paradox, somewhere synonymous to the equinox. Space and time. Irrelevance to find that truth in the numbers and not to forget for who not know, who the for not know, for the untying the cursed words, for the being tongue tied, for the lack of words misled. Harder the piece of the paper mache to the balloon, not to the crumbled away with the wind. My present current love the beats to take flight, for the counting the number of times I answered that mad to eventually it was my calling to know the purpose and not to propose that position but to propel my vision. You stand between me and you stand between me you stand between me and the middle of the perception. In the middle of the perception, the eyes and the vows that it was slain, and sometimes it's hard to comprehend who's to compromise that. In the middle of the perception, the eyes and the vows that it was slain, and sometimes it's hard to comprehend who's to compromise that intercom promise with who's full of compromise with the remorse that can't find a way for the beacon light. Shadows are not easy, they only thought. You can find out of the logic with the sweat producer. You can thought for the modified for the sheep through the amnesty, the periphery of the eyes, and it's see the unbelievable. You pray to the ideology and the parallel for the form of your paradise, for the line of propaganda, for the proportionally you pray. Before you pray with the eyes open for the closed mind. Find a bliss in the execution to feel your peace beneath the surface. Your common ground and unfamiliar, the bloodlines and tied with the wrist. Loosely resisted the destitution, the anti the ancestral barely talk for you. Have no ears for the feeling of the witness to the mirror of the past. Message you walk past for the pastor of pastures and plastic of garbage patches to fill in the whole ozones. You need to be apologetic for the silence, for the rather authenticity. They talked about for the ears of description and interpersonal relationships with the interpretation. No, I am not that for the given or for this of you walk into the haiku syllables. Feel the parabolates pain for the sudden for the unassured to raise the hand. Fist tight for the righteous acts and your reactions rights. Swipe on the tender topic for the troubling waters to strap his life jackets to chill the cold factor for the blood that warms the heart to ignite. Emotion utilizing kinetic energy for the circulation to break that cycle in patterns and talk. It's culture, paradox, somewhere synonymous to the equinox. Space and time. The relevance to find that truth and the numbers are not to forget for rules. To who not know, who the for not know, for the untying the curse words, for the being tongue-tied, for the lack of words misled. Harder the piece of the paper mache to the balloon, not to the crumble away with the wind. My present current love, the breeze to take flight for the counting the number of times I answer that math to eventually was blind calling to know the purpose and not to propose that position but to propel my vision.
But all things come to fail. To meet standards instead that for the sinister wait to awakening. Deprivation of thought derived, declared upon that for the presence of light. Depth of darkness to be illuminated by the shining upon sunrise and summer nights. Under the moon's glow to find directions in nocturnal conditions to seek compensation for the new day. New gratitude, coordinated movement. Significant other than the way with the world that's been able to overlook and find the underlying truth and the foundation of life. No sequel to this game, but it's not a sequence to define the patterns of turmoil. And when all fails, standards meet, sit at the stillest await, awakening and deprivation. Yah live, Messiah, Yahweh. Praise other people for the richness of soul, you for the hobbies lacking. This is how your soul grows. Sow the seeds of this love with the only spirit within. Ruin destruction, the consumption of jealousy, the smallness of the heart. Mama warned us about that for those of you how hard you find that looking for the natural, the instincts to trump yours, for the love, and that we can still unlearn the rules that you taught us because that made life fair for you, for all the smile, for the tremble of the tip, for the tantrums available. You in any given moment for the inconvenience to discuss, for the priorities to get mixed up with the frenzy, with the reptilian, for the tendencies against all odds and emergency. Emerge and deal still stronger for the new what happened that could be the last delay for the payday, for the payback, for the rest of the days until the change of attitude, until the bow down to the presence of the vibration higher than yours. Attainable for giving up at the sense for the only told you existed, but the sun is over the feeling hotter for the only stealing, giving close to it to the kind knows of adaptation. Ignore those truths for the finite, for the Paris and the flame. You ain't got the scan for the global woman, for the promoter, for the soul. Kids at school for the youth, but never been cool enough for the upbeat, for the less than fashionable, for the white, for the powder, for the basement, those are the fluffy outfit for the ladies without the asses, but the kids for the real time for the disdain. Show the colorful purple, filled with the dough, for the soul, for the market, but the cultures for the sacred. Peered into the unknowing like tourists, searching for the satisfaction and naive and unsustainable, unsatisfied. But these are the piggies, a little too familiar, but those are the caves in which you emerge and find a story that late bloomers for the late on the scene. Golden air with the forehead, with the outstretched with the overboss. Eyeballs on the cape man for the commercial rain, too true to that. Who's that to find that for the king to like the black man, for the kiss about the sun flavor, for the who can endure, for the willing, for the one who plays up in the smoke. Shine still, but the price has been paid. You're left for the remains of the earth, ruin, decay brought to you, for you, life. Things come to fail. To meet standards and sit that for the sinister wait to waken. Deprivation of thought derived, declared upon that for the presence of light. Depth of darkness to be eliminated by the shining upon sunrise and summer nights. Under the moon's glow to find directions in nocturnal conditions to seek compensation for the new day. New gratitude, coordinated movement. Significant other than way with the world that's been able to overlook the kind of the underlying truth and the foundation of life. No secret to this game, but it's not a secret to define the patterns of Torah. When all fails, standards meet. Sit at the stillest await, awakening and deprivation. Yah live, Messiah, Yahweh. Praise other people for the riches, the soul, the view, the hobbies lacking. This is how your soul growth. Sow the seeds of this love with the only spirit within. Ruin, destruction, the consumption, the jealousy, the smallness of the heart. Mama warned us about that for those who how hard you find that looking for the natural, the instincts to trump yours for the love, and that we can still unlearn the rules that you taught us because that made life fair for you, for all the smile, for the tremble and the temper, for the chance was available. You at any given moment for the inconvenience to discuss, for the priorities to get mixed up with the frenzy, with the reptilian, for the tendencies against all odds and emergency. He emerged and still stronger for the new of what happened that could be the last delay, for the payday, for the payback, for the rest of the days until the change of attitudes, until the bow down to the presence of the vibration higher than yours. Attainable for giving up in the sense for the only choice you existed, but the sun is over the feeling hotter for the only stealing, giving closer to it to the kind knows of adaptation. Ignore those truths for the finite, for the Paris and the flame. You ain't got the scan for the global woman, for the promoter, for the soul. Kids at school for the youth, never been cool enough for the upbeat, for the less than fashionable, for the white, for the powder, for the wisdom, those are the fluffy outfit for the latest without the asses, but the kid for the older time for the disdain. Show the color for the purple, filled with the dose for the soul, for the market, with the cultures for the sacred. Peered into the unknowing like tourists, searching for the satisfaction and naive and unsustainable, for the unsatisfiable. And these are the piggies, a little too familiar, but those are the caves in which you emerge in the funnest story, the late bloomers for the late on the sea. Cold and angry with the forehead, for the outstretched with the overballs. Eyeballs on the caveman for the commercial rain, too true to that. Who's that to find that for the king to like the black man, for the kiss about the sun flavor, for the who can endure, for the willing, for the only who plays up in the smoke. Shine still, but the price has been paid. You're left for the remains of the earth, ruin, decay brought to you, you form, you back.
and toes separating like serpent skin. She peels, she radiates. Regenerations for regenerations broke. Eye sockets and drained for lack of vision. Empty time banks to be replenished for life savings. Afterlife of insurance guaranteed. As lice, as silence, serenades, lift songs. Synchronized like souls in salvation, fire dancing her fingers' eyelashes. Sing, she snaps. Eyes closed, plucking heartstrings and waiting for reverberation. She's guided through valleys dark, towards tall mountains. She hugs them all, dirty earth tones, return. She sways where lunacy pulls in severity. She is her own life jacket. On any given moon, she can be found under the given tree of remembrance. Better listen Buddha than learning language divided with simplicity. Gentleness and only petals can give. Cheeks blushed by brushes and cracked smiles. Flowery language and perfume stenches deep, steep past teeth and clench for fear for the revealing of fists and flaws. Unfettered yet she flies like wings and feet. Greek gods left speeches behind, stone exterior for the Mercury witness of birth and rebirth, presenting fortunes like silver for the stringing constellations above bedhead, captivated with the truth, and she will forget. Remembering one time, lifetime for the instead of many for their chorus is sung by hooded sisters and sequestered for the body, beholding old man too cold for warm blood. Symbolism lost upon the fallen angels and concentrated within the linear for the limits like a star across dodgeball for souls. Stand behind some of your own self-practice. Distracted by the shadows of life with a wall of entertainment's sake. Shades increase, glasses thick for tight girls fit to be tied. Expectations manufactured and doled out for doll faces with foundations who crumbled and mismatched. Rushed through inspection with the objective for the weeping mothers everywhere. Cry babies with the running mascara, watch fleeting fades escape. Claws of the wardrobes, word of TV for the mouthpieces and crunching spirits like Cheetos. Cheesy and calculated for the cunning indicators and hungry citizens and citizen lessons in. More hungry for the distraction and blame victims for the captivated by the capital punishment that allows by the wars and cooked up and prepackaged and enemies and perfect for the evening digestion before opioid inducing the slumber for the deceit lies and Play-Doh smells good, tastes and bad. Ancient rhymes delivered like an LA delivers to babies in Toyland. Spiritual hotbed tongue sticking for the licky icky for the spoils of souls. Asking for the inheritance for the undeserving for the beneath bees and buzz and belt, the insect and wings and prophets and profit for the self-proclaimed. Plagiarism for the force and feeding for the falling stars and falling again and again. Sacred soaked enough for the surfaces of scorch. Birthmarks as identifications greeted by the generous and thugs and steaming soil. Blue moons and bear witness to the baskets left by winged creatures in native tone. Forked and split by the venom for the full of saved by skin and concealed by the made-up revelations and forged by the fuckery walking of earth-like treadmills. Tail-tipping points in each sharp upturns in universal dialect for the angels to the free to the revealing wings. Heaven on earth. Let's go to the goodwill and spend gas on the money for the smells to the old same shirts walking around with the flashing tits is cheaper than I'll try cheaper for you. Like you were born to be afraid for what Simon says, asking for the permission, the rights and word memorized with the wave flags and freedom for the goodbye. Red, white, and blue for the kiss for the long distance relationship established long ago into the future for the forest. Chopped down the hair with a return for the nair for the still burning scarring systems like childhood memories fun. Until catnips and nipple for the tips. Trips our parents' tongues wagging, nagging for Jesus again. And saving lost ways like lives. taking the pause, rewind steps back. Familiar page,